Struggling to come to grips with reality. Confusion and chaos have become part of me. I seek answers to know where my liberation lies. Only in peace and calmness does that clarity arise. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations. No answers given, only outer temptations. Where can I find that truth inside of me? Realization of what I am is all I'm wanting to see. Transmissions of wisdom
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to use my webcam microphone. For some reason, this microphone here is on, but it's not working. So, my apologies to you guys. Sort out your sound. Have you forgotten the basics? I think I have, right? I think when it comes to this microphone, there's some karma I have with microphones, my friends. So what can I say? No, it's weird because this microphone right now is currently on, but it's not broadcasting. So that's a bit weird. Okay, so I'm just going to be sticking with my webcam microphone. I'm probably going to have to throw this thing in the garbage. I don't know what's going on with it. I've been having so many issues with this thing. This is supposed to be a really good quality microphone too. So give me a minute here, guys, while I fix this stuff up. If this wasn't live webcam, I'd just say, okay, hang on, I'm just going to start things over again, but can't do that. Okay, well that is screwed up. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Okay, there you are. I don't know what to say, guys. That is like a really top quality tier microphone, and it's supposed to be working. Everything was plugged in properly. Everything was set up properly, and as soon as I go live, it craps out. So, what can I say? I have to try and find another good microphone, I guess. That one is supposed to be a good one. Okay, anyways, let's try this again from the top. Going back to the main camera here. So as I was talking about before, my microphone so really cut out. Basically what we're going to be talking about today with Adronis, that's going to be coming up here in the next few minutes, will be about the hybrid agenda. So it's not the hybrid agenda that we were talking about with extraterrestrials, right? I'm not too sure if you guys got that part with my microphone cutting out. But it's not about extraterrestrials, it is about an internalized hybrid agenda. Okay, so this is something a little bit different. It goes back into a follow-up video that I did a few months back with Adronis as he was talking about the nature of the system, right? So with the nature of the system, this is the next step, this is the next follow-up where he's going to be talking about the hybrid agenda. So I'm not talking about grays, I'm not talking about hybrid civilizations or anything of that nature. Some people may get that confused because that's in a lot of metaphysical circles about hybrid races and hybrid civilizations. It's a big topic, but I've talked about that stuff to death, right? This is something very, very different, looking at the hybrid agenda. Okay. Nina's like reading a lips crash course. I can tell when my microphone's not working, my entire chat just freaks out, right? So I'm glad I scrolled down and said, wait a minute. I wasn't seeing the audio bar here going. And I said, okay, what the hell? Like, my microphone's set up, everything's plugged in, everything should be working as properly, and then done. I don't know, guys. Maybe there's a psychic attack going on my microphones. Who can say? But anyways, that's going to be the subject for today. And then again, as I was talking about, going into announcements, which is, whoops, sorry, right here. I'm talking about Radiate Amrita. Okay, so this is the second version of Radiate that is coming about. There is a GoFundMe campaign that is going to be starting on September 8th. So it was April of last year when I created the first Radiate. Okay, so I had a team together with that, and we were creating Radiate, and we had a GoFundMe campaign with that, and that really helped with the funding. I basically paid for half of it, and then the people paid for the other half. So we're doing the same thing here with Radiate Amrita, is we're going to be creating the second version of Radiate, and it is going to be much bigger, much better, much stronger, much faster, much more optimized than the first version. So the first version basically uses a type of video interface for the scrolling symbols together with the bars and everything. That's going to be changing this time. We're not going to be doing that. Everything will be a graphical user interface, so everything is going to be optimized. So no matter the type of phone or tablet or device that you have, you'll be able to run Radiate Amrita on your portable device. So the GoFundMe campaign is starting September 8th. So again, I'm going to be doing an announcement video here on the 7th. So have it up a little bit early, and some of the early birds can come in. There will be lifetime memberships available through Radiate Amrita as well too, because it is going to be a subscription-based model. It's going to be a little bit different than the first version. The first version you basically pay for $33 because there was only about 1 or 2 functions with that particular version. This one is going to have dozens of functions, so it's going to be a lot more intricate. It's going to need to be updated a lot more. And of course, what we're doing is we're having new templates. So you're not just seeing the scrolling symbols going through the bars as you do with the first one. You're seeing different types of geometry. So you may actually see ones like in circles or again in sacred geometry, and you're actually seeing the symbols either appearing or disappearing, pulsating, and so forth. So we're taking Radiate to the next level. We're going to be giving it a whole new spin, right? So we'll have the original Radiate that people love on Amrita, and then we'll have other features as well too. So new templates, features. We're going to have a virtual Tesla coil contained in Radiate, something that nobody has ever done before. That's going to be there. You're actually going to see the flow of energy and actually work and experiment with an actual virtual Tesla coil and see exactly how it does. It's purely experimental. It's all about just being able to have that on your phone and see what the reverberation effects are with that, because it's our hope that as we generate this will actually create a scalar effect with it. Right? That's the intention. We'll have generators as well too. So you're going to have binaural beat generators. You're going to have solfeggio generators as well too. We're going to have guided meditations on there. So it's going to be really, really exciting. Radiate Amrita is going to be huge. It's going to be gigantic. Yes, we will still have the first version of Radiate available. This is what I was about to say before I realized my microphone was getting cut off. Was there were some people that were anxious and thinking that the first version was going to go away. But it's not. The first version will still be available to people, so you can still grab it whenever you want. It is currently on Google Play, and it is also on the Apple Store. You can get a free version of it, and there's the premium version as well too that you can purchase. Radiate Amrita will also have a free version on it. Okay, so you just want to use the free version for Radiate Amrita, you can certainly do that. And then of course it will have two other subscription features as well too. It will have a light version and it will have a premium version as well too. And that one will be based on the type of features that are included with it. So again, new templates, the new virtual Tesla coil, new generators, guided meditations. We're also going to have an agent on it as well too, where you can basically talk to the agent about anything. It's basically taking that anoint technology, and the anoint agent can basically help you out with healing, can help you out with metaphysics, can help you out with consciousness expansion. The list goes on and on. So anyways, I'm going to make an announcement video for this on September 7th. I'm not going to spend too much longer on this, but that's what's coming there on September 7th, and of course the campaign beginning September 8th. It's going to be really exciting. Okay. So again, wisdomtransmissions.com. Like I said, private live sessions, 3 questions by email, and energy cord attunements are still available. Okay, so again, for those who are interested in the Akashic Records sessions or those who are interested in body scans, that will be available through the private live sessions. Okay, so for the private live sessions, if you want to do a body scan with me, it's not as intricate as the old one, but we still scan a lot of areas. That is still available as well too. Okay. And of course, we have patreon.com/Adronis. Let me go ahead and move that a little bit this way so you can see it. There we go. So weekly classes every Sunday on patreon.com/Adronis. There's a 7-day free trial, and you can sign up for that now as well too. Okay, so that's patreon.com/Adronis. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's broadcast. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he's going to be talking about the Hybrid Agenda. I'm hoping everybody can hear me, right? There's no calamities happening with the microphone. I know it's not the best microphone, but I have to find out what the problem is with this microphone, because it's been giving me nothing but problems ever since I bought it. So I think I'm going to return it and get a better microphone, because that one has been a pain in the butt. All I'm asking for is a good microphone, but it's been hard to find. I've had like so many other microphones in the past, and they work very good, and then they crap out, and then they work very good, and they crap out. I said, this cannot be coincidence. There's some synchronicity going on here. It's like a psychic attack on the microphones. So there you go. Anyways, I hope you guys can hold out with my webcam microphone. I know it's not the greatest, but it's what I have for now until I figure out the other microphone situation. But again, thank you for letting me know. Without you guys losing your shit, because I think some of you did, but that's okay. It happens. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in, and we will get started now with the Hybrid Agenda. So, enjoy. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Terra, Soul Star, Adronis. We are here at this time. We bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. What we'd like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and to tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. Today of your time, we will speak to you in the continuation of what we have discussed previously a little while back, relating to the nature of your system, but being able to move much more deeper past the system into hybrid agendas that have been facilitated by humankind, although its origins are not of this world. So what are we talking about pertaining to a hybrid agenda? No, we are not talking about other beings that are trying to graft themselves upon the human race. That has certainly happened, not just for the Greys, but many other species. But we're talking more about what is actually being grafted upon your planet to basically keep the herd of humanity in a state of check. This firstly starts off with your own food supply. Now, many of you may be aware that about 90% approximately of the food on your planet is hybridized. It is artificial. This includes certain plants that are, as you would say, seedless. This would relate to any particular type of item that has much more of a stronger acidic content than an alkaline content. Here is the rule of Mother Earth. Mother Earth, for humankind, will only ever produce alkaline-based foods and foods with seeds. That's for the human race. Anything that you discover that is very highly acidic in content or fruit without seeds is hybridization taking place. And 90% of your food supply on your planet has this. This again represents one particular facet of the hybrid agenda. And this is all part of it, is to try to keep humanity dumbed down. Trying to keep humanity in the state of toxicity. Because again, we have told you many times in the past of what humanity is destined to become. But there are still those of you who are relying on experts to let you know about the type of foods that are beneficial on your planet for you to eat. And even many of the experts on your planet are completely incorrect in regards to the type of foods that you should be eating. You want to make sure that the foods that you are putting into your body have a high alkaline index. They should not be in the acidic range. What are some examples of some foods that are contained in the acidic range? All meat is contained in the acidic range because the type of meat that humans commonly eat come from hybrid animals. The cows that you find on your planet today are hybrids. They are not the original cow. You would actually find the original cow more closer to the areas of your South America or in deep areas of Asia. But the cows that you commonly have today are experiments. They're not even the genuine cow. They're hybrids. When you're looking at chickens, roosters, turkeys, all hybrids. They too were cooked up in laboratories. The common birds that you find these days, crows and seagulls, hybrids. They are not the genuine article. They are again renditions of other species being put here. Kind of like watchers, kind of like scavengers in a particular way, yes. But then you're looking at your pork, yes, that too is a hybrid creature. The idea of your common everyday pig is a hybrid. So basically a lot of the meats that you've been eating are coming from hybrid animals. Your pig, your cow, your chicken, quite commonly. The eggs from the chicken, hybrids. So what you're doing is you're putting, again, very low nutritional content contained in your body when it comes to meat, because these are created through hybrid animals. When you're looking at your common honeybee with the yellow and the black, hybrids. Not the original honeybee. The original honeybee is colored black. They are not yellow and black. So with that, the honeybee itself would represent a hybrid creature. The original honeybees are black in color, and they also don't sting. These ones sting. So again, that's another example of much of your food upon your planet, well in just the aspect of the 90%, that is hybridized, that is toxic, that is acidic. And that's what you're putting into your body. And this has been arranged by design. This is all part of the idea of those particular controllers, we will say, that again manage through a type of inorganic system, is saying that in order for us to basically dumb down the human population, even the supply to the food must be under control. It must be kept under wraps. And so therefore you will have your common GMOs that many of you are already aware of when it comes to certain forms of vegetables or fruits that are seedless, and that this too represents acid. So what has been happening upon your planet pertaining to this hybrid agenda has caused a very slow poisoning of the human race that has been happening much intensely throughout the past century. It really has only been in effect for about just under a century or so. It has not really been that long. And this has been by design, because those particular controllers that have brought forward these particular types of hybrid agendas on your planet have been very, very intimidated by what is to come with the human race. And they have seen into the future through their particular contacts, and they have been instructed specifically to create food in this way, to create animals in this particular way, going all the way back into the times of Atlantis, where there were hybrid creatures as well. And so again, it is simply a continuation of such experiments like what took place in Atlantis that is happening here on the planet today. So again, being able to diversify what you're actually putting into your body to help you to grow, to bring you longevity, it needs to come through alkalinity. It cannot come through acid. It cannot come through meat eating. It cannot come through, again, some of these particular types of fruits or vegetables or wheat. Pretty much all wheat upon your planet nowadays is hybridized. In the ancient past, there was ancient wheat that would never have had such a thing. But much of your wheat today, much of your rice grains today, all hybridized, all hybridized, all hybridized, all hybridized. And that this is slowly poisoning human beings. This is also poisoning certain types of animals that may eat these as well too. This is all part of a dumbing down. It is a lower mortality rate to keep people in control. But more than that, when you eat a lot of these particular types of food, it again affects your brain. And this creates suggestions with people. It also builds up toxins within your body because your body becomes so acidic. The mucus lining in your body becomes thicker, and there's lesser oxygen getting to your organs, to your cells, to your glands. It's not uncommon to find a lot of angry humans nowadays because you're all toxic, because you're basically all poisoned, because your system is completely out of control. So you have heavy acidic environment, you have heavy mucus buildup, the acidic content basically goes through the roof. And when this happens, physically you're feeling weak, mentally and emotionally you're feeling distraught and disturbed and in despair. Energetically you feel weak. It takes its toll upon the body because you're putting too much acids in your body and your body can't handle it and it starts to break down. And as it starts to break down, you become more irritated, you become more emotional, you become more sad, you become more anxious, you become more fearful, you become more paranoid, you become much more distraught and feeling separated from everyone and everything. It's because of the poisons in your body. And in order to remedy this, you need to re-alkaline yourself. You see, the whole idea of what is termed as germ theory on your planet is bunk. That is not the truth as to how your body works and to how the nature of microbes work. The true nature of yourself involves what's called a terrain body, which means everything is internalized. And when the body is in a state of distress, it will work with certain acids to help detoxify an area. But what happens is that when all of that content that's coming into your body with highly deadly sugars, dead glucose, with the idea of starch, with the idea of blood and flesh that is coming into this body, the body doesn't know what to do with that. These are foreign agents that are causing greater contamination into your body, and before you know it, you're getting sick. You're getting sick not because of germs that are out here. You're getting sick because your internal makeup of the acidity in your body is growing. It's becoming prolonged. Acid in the body is basically meant to be a destruction device. It kills out certain cells that are the quote-unquote troublemakers. And so acid will be used generally over time in small amounts to basically kill away invaders, intruders in the body that are again becoming toxic upon the body. But that will only be very, very temporary. What has happened to your body is because all of these types of foods are being ingested into yourself, the acidic content of the body is now becoming heavily polluted. And because there's so much acidity, in order to try and counterbalance that acidity, the body will naturally produce heavy levels of mucus, which means the mucous membranes are being completely overworked. And now you're basically getting all of these lines, these thick lines of mucus around your organs, around your cells, around your nervous system, around your lymphatic system. Your entire body is now being covered with mucus. Why? Because you're poisoned. And because you're poisoned, all of this mucus is basically preventing oxygen from coming into your organs, coming into your cells, coming into your glands, coming all into your cellular infrastructure. And in order for that to be reversed, you need to alkaline the body. That's how it works. But many of your medical establishments are trying to give you pills. They're trying to give you drugs. Because really what you've been eating 90% of the time is drugs anyways. These particular foods that we're talking about that are highly acidic, that are hybridized, are drugs, which means 90% of the time, you've been putting drugs into your body. Meat is a drug. Seedless fruits, seedless vegetables, these are drugs. Wheats, these are drugs. High sugar, all of these things represent drugs. You've been eating drugs. You have not been eating food. And what does the medical establishment attempt to give you? More drugs. Giving you a quote-unquote active ingredient that is now completely stripped away all of these supporting ingredients that make it what it is to be beneficial, and then putting that into your body and trying to numb you down. This is not science, dear humans. This is control. So in order for you to repair your body from this hybrid agenda, you need to start bringing in high alkaline foods. You need to start looking back into the herbal kingdoms. You need to start looking into fruits and vegetables that actually have seeds within them. That's what's going to help you out. You can create tinctures, you can create smoothies, you can create teas. You can have meals, again, that represent a higher degree of this alkalinity. You may want to look into wild rice instead of white rice. You may want to look into some of your mushroom kingdom, except for shiitake, because much of your mushroom kingdom holds high alkaline properties. You want to do your research, and you want to find the higher alkaline foods to be put into your body. In fact, from the very beginning time that we have been talking through this conduit, we have been telling you, make sure that what you put into your body is alkaline rich. We have basically been telling you this now for nearly 17 years. Make sure the food that you're putting in your body is alkaline rich. Because humans are actually meant to balance themselves a lot more with alkaline foods, because that's how your construct works. You cannot compare yourself with other animals. They have a different index. Some things similar, but not entirely. Don't think that you need to eat like a rabbit. Don't think that you need to eat like a gorilla. Don't think that you need to eat like a cow or a horse or anything of that nature. Even though there's some similarities, they have different indexes. You have your own index. And it's very important that you are working and eating together to your alkaline-based index. That's what the human body requires the most for it to function. Anytime you are addicted to any food, you are addicted to a drug. That's not a food. Food is not supposed to be addicting. And if you have ever been addicted to a food, then you are eating a drug. Any particular type of food that tries to complement itself through you by saying you need to eat me more, you need to eat me more, you need to eat me more, where it becomes a hopeless craving, you have been consuming drugs. So you haven't even really been eating food. For those of you who are constantly irritable, feeling in a state of separation consciousness, your body is highly sick, your body is highly toxic, you've been eating drugs, not food. To actually eat food, there's a feel-good feeling, but there's not that insatiable need for addiction, where you have to keep eating these foods and looking towards these animals and thinking that animal protein, in that sense, is going to help you out, because it's not. That's actually what shortens lifespans. In fact, you will find that many meat eaters on your planet that are very heavy meat eaters live short lives, because it is not giving their body the nutrition it needs. All it's doing is building up the acidity. All it's doing is building up the mucus. All it's doing is cutting off oxygen. All it's doing is causing the body to slowly shut down. All of the diseases that you talk about, your cancer, your diabetes, your asthma, your dementia, your Alzheimer's, your rheumatoid arthritis, etc., this is all a product of acid. This is all a product of mucus. acid-mucus combination. Every particular disorder that your medical science has put down in its textbooks relates to acid and mucus buildup, nothing else. Once the acid and the mucus are cleared from your body, you will never be sick again with any illness. Because in order for illnesses to thrive, there needs to be an acidic environment. There needs to be that heavy state of mucus where oxygen is being cut off at the organs level. And again, this is why the organs become debilitated. This is why there's chronic conditions. This is why there's joint stiffness. This is why there's paralysis. This is why there's nervous system inflammation. Because mucus and inflammation are being utilized by the body to try to counteract the acid, but the acid's being too great. It tries to inflame. It tries to apply mucus to it, but it gets too great. And now it needs to apply thicker walls of mucus. And now it needs to heavily inflame the body to try and get this acid under control because it's not getting the nourishment it needs. You are pretty much all malnourished. Hardly any of you have the proper amount of nutrition in your bodies right now as we talk to you. Very few do. About 90% of the human race right now is poisoned. And so in order for you to reverse that, you need to start moving into the alkaline formulas. We would suggest that you look into an individual that once lived on your planet by the name of Dr. Sebi. S-E-B-I. And you start looking into his work because he is one of the few humans who actually got it correct. Because going back into your late 1980s, he actually went to court and convinced the judge about what he was doing as the correct way to get well. He basically came from a perspective and said, there is only one disease, and that disease is mucus. He is correct. But even going beyond mucus, it's acid. Acid is the culprit in the body, and the body's natural defense mechanism is to apply mucus to try to drain out the acid. But if the acid starts getting too intense and it keeps being fed on, then that mucus is going to intensify more and more and more and more and more until the walls of mucus now become like a type of resin. They become hardened. And this is what causes people to have pneumonia. This is what causes people to have bronchitis. This is what causes people to have sinusitis. This is what causes people to have tinnitus. This is what causes people to have Alzheimer's. This is what causes people to have schizophrenia. This is what causes people to have dementia. This is what causes people to have cancer. This is what causes people to have diabetes. We can go on and on. We can list every particular disease that your science has created and say that it all points back to mucus and to acidic content. And that alkaline is the answer to clearing it all out. You alkaline your body to the point where you start feeling better, where the mucus now starts to subside, because you have very powerful herbal concoctions upon your planet that, if utilized properly, can help to flush out all of that mucus lining around all of your organs, your glands, your cells. As Dr. Sebi would say, we are introducing an intracellular cleanse to clean out every single cell of the body of mucus, of acid, so that all that remains is a properly balanced alkaline body, where you have completely cleaned out your own cellular system. Now, you can also do this with pranayama. You can also do this with prana, but again, your body requires food. So as it requires food, feed it alkaline. Drink alkaline. That is what's going to help you. particularly those of you who have chronic conditions, particularly those of you who are feeling inflamed, heavy mucus content contained inside the body, you need to dose up on the alkaline. You need to start eating the proper foods that have seeds, the proper foods that have alkaline that will help you. Even water, spring water, for example, which have a strong alkaline content and minerals. In fact, one of the minerals that many of you lack is iron. If any of you are anemic, that's telling you that you're short on iron. Iron is very beneficial because it is the only metal within your bodies that is actually magnetic. It is what actually brings about a shining, radiant aura, is because one who is in their higher concentrations of iron now start to feel a lot more stronger in mind, stronger in body, increases your memory, gives you greater vitality, brings all of your organs back to snuff, brings them back into working order, helps with basically bringing everything relating to your cognitive functions in a much more pristine way. That's just through iron. You also want to build up the MCP in your muscles. Magnesium, calcium, potassium has nothing to do with meat products. In fact, meat products won't even really deliver that to you, because what your body needs is amino acids, not proteins. The entire protein fad is exactly that. It's nonsense. In fact, you will notice that people who may decide to live vegetarian or vegan are still able to build up their bodies quite well because of amino acids, but because also of these three particular elements, these minerals: magnesium, calcium, and potassium. You have those three, you're building muscles. You bring amino acids into your body, you're building up muscles. You bring iron into your body, you're clearing away the brain fog, you're walking properly. Your organs are now mineralized and magnetized. Your brain now starts to lift from the brain fog. Your memory starts to be enhanced. Your dreams become much more vivid. In fact, if you really want to enhance your psychic ability, you need iron. Iron is actually the psychic's best friend. And again, if you are anemic, which means you're fainting, which means, again, you're low energy, you have joint stiffness, you can't even really walk in a straight line, these are all signs that you have a low red blood cell count, and that you need to bring much more magnetism of iron into your body. So altogether, what we're talking about here is there is a hybrid agenda taking place upon your planet that is causing you to be affected primarily through the body because of your food and drink. Your food and drink are heavily contaminated, and the hybrids that are around you that basically make up your common, everyday, conventional dietary service are hybridized. And this is something that has been happening specifically, even going back many thousands of years, but even much more intensely within the past century. So what we are telling all of you to do is to be very mindful of what you're putting into your body, because you do not realize that it's actually making your body much more toxic. It is not about the idea of germ fear. Germs are the wave that represent the source that is contaminated by what? Acid and mucus. Germs are transformative. They are transmutable. Did you know that a microbe can become a bacteria, and then become a virus, and then become a fungus? Microbes have the power to do that. They will adapt to their environment based on the form that best suits them. They can be dormant, or they can be a virus. They can be a bacteria. They can be a fungus. But they only do that based upon the reciprocity of your environment. which means if your environment is highly acidic, they will change their form to appropriate the type of manifold that they need to become to thrive within that environment, because the pH is so incredibly low. And that this is what's causing many of these microbes to thrive. The idea of it being a cancer cell is the result of tissue degeneration, is the result of terrain erosion. But again, it's not the cause of the disease. It's an effect. So these are things that need to be understood when you understand much more about terrain science, bodily terrain science, because that's the truth of you. It's not germ theory, created by an individual who was well known to be fraudulent, to which you would know as Louis Pasteur. He has been known throughout history to being fraudulent, to being an imposter, to basically, shall we say, contaminating other people's findings and putting his own untruths directly into it. He has been a saboteur of much of that particular type of true science. And this is very much the individual that your mainstream modern medical establishment follows. Germ theory. And of course, as you've been through COVID, you realized how bogus that idea is. About standing 6 feet apart. About wearing a mask that does not even do anything. So therefore, these are things that you need to look into. There is a hybrid agenda taking place upon your planet. And in order for this to be combated, more and more people need to start eating healthy. This is why there is an unwillingness to look into the truth, because the very food that you're putting into your body as a food body is contaminating yourself to actually even see reason. That's all part of the configuration of a hybrid agenda. And for more people to come together and eat properly and start restoring themselves, they will find the truth. And as they find the truth, this entire hybrid program can be completely dismantled. In time it will, as more healthy people that are bringing about the alkalinity in their body come forward and share the truth, as the pioneers before them have done so. We thank you for the opportunity of this interaction today. We will now pause for a moment and return to the conduit so that we can begin your question and answer period. Thank you very much. One moment, please. Okay, very good. Well, there you go. That's that was a pretty long conversation, but a lot of great information pertaining to that. Okay, and this is very much what I'm getting into right now, is looking a lot more into alkaline foods, because guilty as charged. I've been a very bad meat eater, particularly throughout most of my life. There's been times where I've had vegetarianism and veganism, and I've done a lot of that, but of course I've done keto as well too. And keto is, from a person who's personally experienced it, it's probably one of the worst particular types of diets you can ever have. The reason being is because in the short term it's beneficial because you feel like you're losing a lot of weight. But in the meantime, what's happening is you're getting heavily constipated, you're getting heavy joint stiffness, your brain is just full of brain fog, you feel completely out of it, right? But I wanted to try some of these other particular diets that people wanted to talk about. But it is true. In the very beginning, Adronis was always talking about, right, go alkaline, get things that come right out of your earth, right? Look for the seeds. That's what you want to find. And don't stick with these acidic diets, because these are slowly taking you down. So it's very important to realize that. So over time, again, I'm kind of being my own guinea pig. As I start to develop this a lot more, I'll be creating certain forms of dietary plans as well too. Not really dietary, but basically protocols pertaining to alkalinity. I've been looking into this Dr. Sebi fellow in that sense, and he's got a lot of great information, and I've been applying that to myself. I'm already starting to lose weight in the natural way, in the alkaline way, not eating a bunch of meat product and all that. Because like I said, that is very much a slow killer, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Like I said, I was a big meat eater. Right? And I heard all this stuff, and that's why I didn't really listen to it too much in the past, because I really enjoyed eating meat. I enjoyed eating my chicken, I enjoyed eating my fish, right? I enjoyed eating eggs and all of that, and I would have that. And then I would just see exactly how my body would keep getting built up. It would keep getting hefty, right? Keep getting fat in that way. But even that fat content is just leftover toxicity. That needs to be flushed out of the body. And you can't do that with a keto diet. You can't do that with a paleo diet. You can't do that with a lot of the common dietary fads that are out there because they're pretty much all garbage. The only way you can do this properly is through alkalinity, alkaline reinforcement. So as I continue to do it, I'm building up plans, and then I'll be sharing that with people as time progresses. So there you have it. Okay, let's go ahead now and move on into questions. Okay, so I'm going to go with the personal donation-based questions first, and then we'll go with other questions as they come up. I'm going to try and fly through these guys. So again, even if you do have a reading, I'm going to try and do what I can to kind of fly through it because we only have so much time. And if you want to talk to me further, the best thing to do is go on to wisdomtransmissions.com and you can book a private session with me. Okay. Or again, go on to patreon.com/Adronis, sign up for 7-day free trial. You get a free Adronis classroom there. You can talk to me that way too. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start off with Solstice. Solstice here has a donation-based question. Hi Adronis, I've been doing all the advice you've given me, but now the right side of my body is extremely compressed, my lower back hurts, and I can't sit up for more than 5 minutes. Please advise what's happening to me and what I need to do to stop doing. Okay, so this is very much like what Adronis was just sharing about the idea of making your body alkaline. Yeah, but Brad, does that help with compression? Does that help with lower back? Helps with everything. As Dr. Sebi would actually say, that his compounds that he was creating actually helped paralyzed people to stop being paralyzed, right? Paralysis is an acidic condition, okay? So I have a recommendation here, and I'm just going to write down the herbs that I'm aware of that will be very beneficial for people if they want to take it in. So just give me a second here. I'm just trying to remember all the names off by heart. Give me 1 sec, guys. I had the name here. I'm just trying to remember it off by heart. Okay, that's the other one. Okay, so what I have for everybody here is I have a herbal tea concoction that you can use. Okay, sorry, my YouTube studio cut out there for a second. So again, I have a herbal concoction that people can use, okay? So there's 3 ingredients that you can get. You can get these on Amazon. They're quite easy to find. The first one is called sarsaparilla. Now, I'm not too sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I will spell it out for everybody who wants to get this herb, okay? And this is very beneficial, making it into a tea. It is spelled S-A-R-S-A-P-A-R-I-L-L-A. Sarsaparilla. That's how it kind of sounds, but it's more like a sarsaparilla kind of thing. It has a bit of a tricky name to it, but that's how it's spelled out, okay? Sarsaparilla. And this is a very, very powerful root that is rich in iron. And when you take it, it's highly alkaline, right? It's an active ingredient that's found within root beer. Okay, so it's high in iron. It supports blood and lymph cleansing. It also clears toxic metals out of the body. Okay, that includes mercury, lead, aluminum, and more. Okay, so sarsaparilla. That's a herb that you can get on Amazon. Okay, the second one is a little bit more well known. It's called burdock root. Okay, B-U-R-D-O-C-K. Okay, that's B-U-R-D-O-C-K, burdock root. Okay, you can get it as a tincture if you want, but you can also get it as a tea. I'm not too sure if Amazon carries the herb to it. If not, just look around a little bit. But burdock root, getting that would be very beneficial, putting that into a tea. And the benefits of the burdock root is that it's a deep blood purifier. It supports the liver and lymphatic system. I just got notes in regards to writing it down. So again, it's a very powerful blood purifier. And then the third one is called yellow dock. Okay, so the color yellow, and then dock, D-O-C-K. Okay, yellow dock root. And I'm just giving these 3 recommendations to people because it's a very good thing for beginners. Okay, there's a lot more concoctions that you can get into. I'm getting into a lot of the advanced concoctions. but you don't want to start off with that in the beginning, right? You want to be very, very delicate with your system, okay? And this is going to lead to the second thing, and I will come back to you, Solstice, about some advice to helping out with your situation, okay? But basically, taking these 3 particular roots and having them 7 days straight, okay? So have 1 tea with these 3 herbal concoctions once a day for 7 days. After 7 days, take a 2-day break. Because what's happening is your body is going to get flushed out like crazy, okay? People who are very toxic, you're probably running to the bathroom quite a few times, okay? Because it's going to clean you out big time. But while it's cleaning you out, it's getting all of that garbage, gross biomatter out of your body that has been promoting acidity, mucus buildup, toxins. All that's going to be flushing out of your body. So sarsaparilla, burdock, and yellow dock, taking all 3 of them, right? So get like a loose leaf tea brewer, okay? And take 1 teaspoon of the sarsaparilla, 1 teaspoon of the burdock, and about 3/4 to a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of yellow dock, okay? You can do 1 teaspoon of yellow dock, but if you have a sensitive constitution, 3/4 of it, okay? This is extremely beneficial just to get you started. Now, the second thing I'll mention before I get back to Solstice's question is here's something that I've developed in the short term for myself that I'm following that you guys can follow as well too. This is referred to as the 15-day alkaline transitional protocol, okay, the 15-day ATP. So again, be sure to take note of this in the recording or write it down in a notebook if you need to right now. So the first transitional period starts for 15 days. And from day 1 to day 5, let's say again that you're doing your common diet as you're doing right now. 100%, I'm going all the way with my common diet. Okay, so what I want you to do is when you're starting this transition, you're bringing your current diet down to 75%. And 25%, you are introducing yourself to the alkaline foods. Okay, so that may just be something as simple as drinking spring water and doing this herbal cleanse of these 3 herbs for your tea each day. Okay, so I'm going to start drinking spring water. I want to drink about 1 gallon of that per day. 1 gallon of spring water per day. Okay. If you have an alkaline water source, okay, just make sure its pH is good. Usually around the 8.5 to 9, because that's very good because that's helping to clear out a lot of acidity in the body. Okay, and you're just drinking 1 gallon of that per day, 4 liters. Okay, so maybe 1 liter early in the morning, 1 liter later in the morning, another liter in the afternoon, another liter in the evening. Okay, that's great. So you want to drink this. Why? Because that's alkaline reinforcement. That's getting the acidic crap out of your body while you're taking a tea. Okay, so that could be your 25%. And you're doing that from day 1 to day 5. Now, between day 1 and day 5, you will also choose at least just 1 day out of those 5 days where you're doing a 16 and 8 intermittent fast. Okay, so you're eating for 8 hours and then you have no food for 16 hours, with the exception of water or tea. Okay, water or tea is fine, but again, don't be drinking any tea that is acid causing. Okay, guys, peppermint is acidic, which means you should not be touching peppermint at all. Okay, that shocked me as well too because I was a big peppermint fan, but peppermint is actually an acid. Okay, so it is not something to have that's good. Okay, the human body just can't calibrate properly with that acidic content of peppermint because peppermint is also hybridized. Okay, so don't drink peppermint. Be careful with lemon as well too, right? A lot of people love lemon, but unfortunately for some people, lemon can be acidic. Okay, some people can break down the acidic content into alkaline, some people can't. It's a crapshoot, right? Rather than lemon, you should have lime instead of lemon. Okay, that's a big shocker to me because I love lemon too, right? Like, okay, I gotta get lemon out of here, and instead have lime. Okay, so have lime instead of lemon. Then as we go from day 6 to day 10, it's a 50-50. Okay, so you have 50% of your old diet and 50% of the alkaline plan. Okay, so what you may want to start doing is you're creating smoothies, for example. You may start to put smoothies in. You're putting your cilantro. Okay, here's something from the medical medium, Anthony William, in regards to what he's talked about heavy metal detox smoothies. what he suggests in regards to the heavy metal detox smoothies is exceptional. Okay, he really did his research with that. If you guys are familiar with Anthony William, the medical medium, and his heavy metal detox smoothie, that is outstanding. Okay, do it. That would be a very, very good smoothie to follow. Okay, there are other concoctions that you can create as well too. They're even stronger than that, but this one is actually really good. He really did a lot of research. So that's a lot of like the Atlantic dulse. That's cilantro. That is barley grass powder. Okay, that is I'm trying to remember all the ones that he has in here. Some people can use, oh, Brad's this and that and this other thing. Yeah, you're right. But just look into the recipe online, right? You can find all the things that he suggests to put in there. Wild blueberries as well too is very good. You can put mango, papaya in there as well too. If you do get bananas, try and get the Nora bananas, I believe they're called. They're kind of like the small bananas, right? Those ones are actually alkaline. The common big ones that you get in the store are actually much more acidic. So you got to be careful with that. So the smaller the bananas, the kind of like the mini bananas, those are the ones you want to get. Okay. So putting together that concoction, and if you're bringing a smoothie into the place of a breakfast meal, for example, and that constitutes 50% of your alkaline food for the day, great. Then you're doing that. So from day 6 to day 10, you should have an 18 and 6 intermittent fasting window. Okay. So day 1 to day 5 is 16-8. Day 6 to 10 is 18-6. Okay. So 6 hours eating window, 18 hours no food, okay, other than water and tea. Then we go to day 11 to day 15. This is where you're taking 75% of the alkaline plan and only 25% of your old dietary plan, okay? So the 75% may be the idea of adding some food. Maybe you're having some wild rice and some quinoa, okay? Maybe you're baking alkaline bread. I bake alkaline bread. I don't really eat anything out anymore. I've given all that stuff up. But alkaline bread is something that you can create as well too. You can find recipes online for that. A lot of it is just being able to use something like spelt flour, baking soda, right? And you can put some of the wet ingredients in. I put some Nora bananas in there. I put some cinnamon in there as well too. It becomes a beautiful concoction of bread. And there's nothing more satisfying than baking your own foods. It's wonderful. So I'm doing that as well too. So constituting 75% of the old diet, throwing that away, putting the 75% of the alkaline plan directly into your body with only 25% of your original diet intact. Okay. Now, some of that 25% may be meat. Okay, that might be eggs, that might be chicken, etc. Now, really what I would suggest is it depends on the person, because I've even told quite a few people about what I'm doing. And it's, oh, Brad, what are you doing? I say, oh, I got rid of meat. It becomes kind of their reaction, right? I said, well, I certainly recommend you guys go 100% of the way, but if you feel that you need more time, just stick between day 6 to day 15, which means try to get at least 50% of your diet involved in alkalinity. Okay, if you can, push it even further, try to get it to 75%. If you can't do 100%, well, then it's okay. But try to keep a steadfast approach on your intermittent fasting and your 75% integration of alkaline. Okay, but do some trauma transcendence technique and start releasing those addictions, because your goal is try to get 100% into alkaline after the 15 days are over, right? So day 11 to day 15, we have a 20 and 4 intermittent fasting window, okay? So with that 20 and 4 intermittent fasting window, 75% alkaline, doing that for 5 days, then we move on to the phase 2 of the next plan, okay? So first plan is Alkaline Transitional Protocol, ATP. Second is the 369 protocol, okay? For the first 3 days after you have finished the 15-day alkaline transitional protocol, the first 3 days would be to stay steadfast with a 16 and 8 intermittent fasting and 100% alkaline foods and drink. Okay. Then as you get to day 4 and 5 and 6, where 6 is that boundary, right? 4, 5, and 6, 18 and 6 intermittent fasting, 100% alkaline. Then day 7, 8, and 9, 20 and 4. Okay, 100% alkaline. And then at the end of the 9 days, try to do a 24-hour fast with no food, no drink. Okay, that would be the end goal. 24-hour fast, no food, no drink, and I'm just referring to that acidic. You can still have water and tea, but just no drink pertaining to the old diet, right? So you have that 24-hour fast. That concludes the entire plan that I'm currently doing right now, that I'm suggesting for you guys to do, okay? So this starts off with ATP and then moves on to 369, okay? That is my own protocol that I'm following, that I'm doing, and that's what I'm recommending to you guys to give it a try, okay? But like I said, if you're a big meat eater, if you're having a lot of trouble with this, try to stay with at least a 50% alkaline, but try to move into 75, and then when you're in 75, do your best to try and get to 100%, okay? If you get to 100% alkaline within 3 months, pretty much all this stuff will be gone, okay? So solstice, that's my advice to you, okay? If your lower back hurts, you need to start putting alkaline, because what you're telling me right now, your body's toxic, okay? If the right side of your body is extremely compressed, that's acidic buildup, that's mucus content, that's posture, that poor posture that we're doing, where we're sitting for long periods of time as well too. Maybe our posture when we're sleeping is also not very good. A lot of the stress in our environment is also compressing ourselves, but all of that is acid, okay? So I'd like you to start taking these concoctions, these 3 herbal teas that I've suggested. What I would also suggest you do is start doing the white light breath, okay? In the meantime, this is what we do. We start working with pranayama. We start doing some yoga, some light yoga. We go as far as we are able to permit our bodies to go. And you're doing a lot more of that pranayama breath work, okay? So white light breath. Breathe it on completely through your spine. Don't worry about divisions. Oh, but Brad, it's my right side that's hurting, so I don't care. Right? You basically start bringing it into the entirety of the spine, not just the right side of the spine, not just the left side of the spine. You start breathing in that white light. You start filling in the entire spinal column, the 33 vertebrae, and you hold your breath for as long as you can, and then you exhale out through the mouth like it's black smoke coming out that represents all of that acid, mucus, toxicity, and you're sending it to the ether, okay? And you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, okay? It's exactly what Adronis would tell you. Start doing breath work, right? In the meantime, switch your diet over to alkaline through the 15-day ATP and then the 369. And in the meantime, do some breath work, okay? Breath work, cleaning out a lot of your system. Believe me, the white light breath works. But some people just do it 2 or 3 times and they'll stop. No, I want you doing it 20 times, 30 times, 40, 50 times. You keep doing it until you're noticing that a lot of that pain starts to subside. Because the problem is the body is not getting prana, right? Dr. Sebi will talk a lot about the idea of having an electrical body. And that's fine, that's great. But electricity is decayed life force. We're not looking for an electrical body. We're looking for a pranic body, okay? So the pranic body is what we're looking to create here. So this is why when you're eating alkaline foods, you're getting fresh prana, right? When you're doing the breath work, you're bringing in fresh prana into the body. So oxygen is just the carrier to prana. It is prana that our body needs. This is where, again, we can just take our hands, we can rub them together. We have our feet firmly placed on the floor. We give them a good rub, and then we place them upon an area where we feel congested, right? Maybe it's the top of the chest, maybe it's down here by the abdomen, okay? But when we place our hand here, you start doing ujjayi, okay? This is the second thing besides white light breath, okay? So you do ujjayi pranayama, which means you're constricting the throat as you breathe in. And then when you reach the top of your breath, exhale slowly, constricting the throat again. Okay, and as soon as you're inhaling and exhaling, inhaling, you're charging the hand with that prana. Exhaling, you're projecting that energy through the breath from the hand directly into the chest. When people start doing this, even just for the first minute, they can feel their hand getting really, really hot. Because you are running the energy through ujjayi pranayama. It's like when a person has an etherics product, I will tell them, put your hand on it and breathe in it 3 times through ujjayi. Okay? And what you're doing is you're charging up the hand as you inhale, and you're pushing out that energy from the hand through your exhaling Ujjayi pranayama. Okay, you start doing that. So working with the white light breath, working with Ujjayi is also very, very good. Okay, so those are two very powerful techniques right there. And when you start working with the Ujjayi a lot more and the white light breath a lot more, it's actually going into the mucus and it is actually starting to dissolve it. Okay, this is how breatharians have been able to take care of themselves for quite some time too. They are aware of the flow of energy. When you start to alkaline your body to a significant degree further, your ESP will become super enhanced, right? People want to know how they can make themselves more psychic. You put an alkaline diet in your body. That's what you do. And your entire ESP expands. And I've noticed this. I've felt much more deeper the circulation of energy just around me by going alkaline, okay? And keto can't do that, and paleo can't do that, and all those bullshit diets that people who are completely cerebrally insufficient try to create can't do that, right? But with alkalinity, you can do that. So there you go, Solstice. I hope that helps. Okay, let's go to EUM142. Hi, Adronis. I'm being of service to others the best I can when it comes to giving money, yet I still end up losing money on a few occasions. Which part of myself I need to make peace with to resolve this? Okay, 1 second. We thank you very much, EUM142, for your question pertaining to your situation involving money. All right. You are giving other people money. Why? That's the first question that you have to ask yourself. Because when you're truly being of service to others, it's not always about the idea that you need to open up your wallet and therefore give a bunch of money to help people out. Because here's the thing. You're not actually helping them out. What's happening here is that you're still a stranger when it comes to understanding your role with money. Why we say that when you're actually opening up your wallet and giving people money, and that's all there is to it, you're not helping their situation. What you're basically doing is you're just complementing their old pattern, which means they'll take that money, they'll spend it, and they'll be back to where they belonged, where they feel they belong, pertaining to their pattern. How you're really helping a person is through your own experiences about how you've been able to further yourself with or without money. How you've been able to better yourself and make yourself well based upon knowledge and wisdom that you have applied. That is a much more greater service rather than giving somebody money. Giving somebody money is not knowledge. Giving somebody money is not wisdom. In fact, it becomes debilitating to those 2 degrees. Giving somebody money almost becomes a habit. And if you are basically trying to empty your wallet to try to feel like somebody else is going to benefit from that, you are greatly confused. As we stated, the richness of knowledge and wisdom comes through experience. And what you're offering people is the way of your experiences because of the triumphs that you've had over the challenges you've gone through. That is the true benefactor of service. So it's not about emptying your wallet. So this again represents an erroneous idea where you're trying to give people money, but you really don't have that much money yourself because you're not in harmony with money. You're not in harmony with that tool that is a creation of mankind. You don't have a relationship with it. You struggle with it, you only have a little bit of it, and then you want to give it out to other people. They don't learn anything from that giving, and they continue on with their old patterns, and then they become broke again, and then you're becoming broke again. So who benefits from that situation? Nobody. This is something not just for you, but for many of you to realize. Giving money to other people is not remedying a problem. It doesn't. People will take that money. They will splurge. They will spend. But their problem still remains because money is not going to take away your problem. Many of you have a hunger for it because you don't feel like you have enough and that you need it to survive. And so it creates that survival program initiation to a greater level. It is not about emptying your pockets and giving your money to others. That will help with nothing. What will help with something is education, knowledge, wisdom, compassion. These are the things that are the serving tools. When you're working together with money, that money again is an accumulation of exchange, an accumulation of value. There's nothing wrong with having it. But again, if you feel that you have to give it all away because you're trying to make you feel like other people's lives are going to get better, no. If you want to be wise with money and you want to utilize that in regards to other factors that can educate people, then put it towards those educational factors rather than just handing dollar bills or credit card receipts to other people and say, here you go, here's something you can have, go nuts. No, that's not going to do anything. So EUM 142, this is your lesson. It is not about what you think money represents because you don't have a relationship with it. When you have a relationship with money and when you see it for what it truly is, you'll understand exactly where it can be put in ways that can help with that educational knowledge and wisdom that aids people rather than just throwing it at people. They get excited about it, they spend it, and now they're back to square one again, and now you're back to square one again too. There's much more importance of realizing your connection with money than what you feel it is because you're not seeing it right now. Form your relationship with money as a tool. And realize that if you're helping others, you're investing in something that represents an educational platform that can go towards that. That would be our suggestion. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay, thank you very much, EUM. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, going down further. This one here is from Z-Man. Z-Man says, hi, Brad. Will Bitcoin spike once more before 2026? Maybe finding a new high, or should it be sold for Ethereum now? Okay, so let me just go ahead. I'll entertain the suggestion. Okay, again, I've already talked quite heavily about cryptocurrency for 2025, but let me just I'm just going to tune into the Akasha for Bitcoin for this question. A little bit of a rise, but nothing that's going to cause it to, like I said, break the bank or anything of that nature. Be kind of like this, and then like this, and then like that. Okay, that's what I'm getting as I'm looking at the Akashic folder with Bitcoin. So will it be kind of a rise somewhat, right? Some people say, oh, Brad, will it go vertical? No. It'll have a little bit of a bump, right? A little bit of a bump, and then it'll kind of even itself out. And then again, as we get into 2026, like I said, that's not a good year for Bitcoin. Okay, so I don't see a very good year for Bitcoin coming in 2026, or for Bitcoin associated currencies as well too. Okay, that is going to hit a bit of a slide, quite a big slide in that way in 2026 because it's going to be in its enemy year. Okay, so a little bit of a bump. That's what I can tell you, but nothing in regards to a vertical, so to speak. Okay, thank you. Moving on to Madam Blue. Hi, Brad. This is to help with your new mic. Since we reincarnate and this is not our true form, are we actually in the afterlife currently? Okay, so this is to help with your new mic. Okay, thank you. Your questions to help me with the new mic? Okay, your donation. Sorry, I had to catch on there, right? Okay, so like you said, since we reincarnate and this is not our true form, are we actually in the afterlife currently? That's still not an accurate way of looking at it, right? Because you're still seeing segregation. You're still seeing separation pertaining to the idea of life itself. There is no incarnate life and there is no afterlife. There's just life, right? The reason why I say that, my friends, is because we think that because we're in this physical plane, the higher planes are absent from ourselves, and that's not true, okay? What I have always talked about, my friends, is interconnectedness and oneness with everything that is. Okay? You have a physical material plane. You have an astral plane. You have a causal plane. You have planes that reside far beyond the physical, that go up into the higher recesses of the mind. But all of these particular planes are like the layers of an onion, okay? That's like saying that the onion basically has an incarnation life and an afterlife, and that's it. No, there's many layers to the onion, okay? So really, it's not about looking at incarnation as the only life, and then afterlife as the only life after that, or that this really is just afterlife. No, because that's not correct, okay? You have to look at the nature of the onion. You have to look at the layers, okay? So we may be in the outermost layer, the surface skin of the onion as well too. But as I talk about to people, as I'm teaching you how to go into deeper states of consciousness, you will realize that you are symbiotically connected to all of those planes, even where your parents reside, who may have already passed away, okay? You're able to go there and talk to them all the time in your altered state of consciousness. That becomes a natural state of consciousness, okay? So what you're learning to do is you're learning to expand your signal. Right now, your signal is really just transfixed on the physical plane. But this is what I'm talking about, is when you start working with alkaline foods, you start increasing that potency, then what's happening is you're going much more deeper into the onion, and you're seeing all of the layers. When you look at the great masters of the planet that have come before us, they have never said, oh, well, this is here and that's there. You see, there's this transfixion, like a drug response, that's trying to tell us, oh, well, physical planes over here, astral planes over here, causal planes over here. It doesn't work that way, okay? The physical, the astral, the causal, if we're utilizing those particular layers of existence, all work together, omnipresently, okay? We call them layers, but they're not even layers. They are all connected together, omnipresently. Every cell, every atom that makes up these particular realms that we call them are interconnected with us right now. But because you operate on a certain signal based upon your own conscious self, you're only aware of this physical plane. But I've done this with students and said, okay, I want you to have an experience of the astral plane. And when they have an experience of the astral plane, it's around them in the same space to which they occupy right now. When I say, very good, now I want you to access the causal plane. And they go into the causal plane, and it occupies the same space to where they exist right now. There is no such thing as an afterlife. There is no such thing as an incarnational life. These are all just layers, but they all simultaneously coexist with us right here, right now, but we cannot perceive them because we've only decided to perceive the physical. So again, this is how it works. The nature of a true form, there's no such thing as a true form. Okay? All form is impermanent. Okay? Your body is impermanent, your mind is impermanent. There's no such thing as a true form. The only thing that's true is presence. The only thing that's true is awareness. The only thing that's true is the self. That's it. Those don't involve forms. All forms come through that, but that in itself is not form. Okay, and this is where I get people kind of confused. Like, and they try to grasp this intellectually, and you can't grasp it intellectually. You have to feel it, right? You cannot know the divine, but you can be the divine. Okay? And the divine is not a form, but all form comes from it. Okay? The awareness is the background of everything that is. It is the background of life itself. But awareness is not aware of itself. Okay? You do not have a true form. You have a true presence. You have a true self. Right? That's the idea. We can call that the truth. We can call it the self. We can call it presence. We can call it the truth. But that's the idea. There is never a true form. You are working with forms based upon transience. to helping you understand more and more of what you're still holding on to. Everything that represents the nature of the body and the mind will never equal out to the state of the truth. You have to go beyond the body and the mind to come into the nature of the self to realize the truth, right? That you are. That's the nature. It says, again, some yogis will talk about, or some great masters will talk about, is to focus on the I, or focus on the I am, and just stay with the I am, and stay with the I, until it disappears. And all that remains is the immortal, eternal stillness of the self, which has no form, which has no image, which has no identity. It just simply is. Therefore, you know yourself. That's how it works. Okay? Nothing in the body, nothing in the mind is the truth. These are instruments, nothing more. And instruments do not relate to truth. They relate to conceptualization. Conceptualization is a product of intelligence. Okay? Intelligence itself, infinite intelligence, coerces itself with awareness. Okay? So therefore, being aware of who and what you are goes far beyond a body and mind concept, goes far beyond an incarnation life and an afterlife. All of those are just drawers of compartments that we're putting up on this wall. Here's a drawer for incarnation. Here's a drawer for the astral. Here's a drawer for the causal. Here's a drawer for the afterlife. Here's a drawer for God. Okay? That's nonsense. Okay? All that represents is the idea of one who is failing to understand this. We still try to use the mind to understand what exists beyond the mind. Can't be done. In order for you to know what is beyond the mind, you need to go beyond the mind. You can't use the mind to know what is beyond it. It's not possible. Okay? That's like drawing a little stick figure here on a two-dimensional page and trying to get that stick figure to walk around your 3D environment. Can't be done. It's not possible. Okay? So there you have it. I hope that makes sense. Thanks for your sharing. Okay, this one here is for the Year of the Fire Horse 2026. I love the name. That's great. Hi, Adronis. What types of benefits can we potentially experience from the DNA upgrades that we're experiencing that are currently occurring? Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question. What benefits are you experiencing pertaining to the DNA upgrades that you're receiving? Interconnectedness. The idea of seeing much more beyond what you could before. So again, if this has been your life prior to the idea of any form of DNA transmutation, this is what's happening. Do you see how the change of perspective has widened? Because that's what's happening with your DNA. But here's also what's happening. Here's your conscious self based upon the, shall we say, cementing of everything that you believe life is. But here's what's happening to your subconscious. Do you see how the subconscious is expanding out, but the conscious self is remaining as a rock? That's because of your beliefs. That's because of what you hold in the state of values. That is what you hold in regards to the nature of ethics, of moralities, of conditioning. Which means all of this is expanding around you, but you keep yourself sealed. You keep yourself hardened. And you don't see the expansion that's happening all around you. Because you are transfixed and invested in the idea of your matters, of your beliefs, of your conditions, of your attributes, of what's happening in the world, or what's happening with yourself, or what's happening with your family, what's happening with money, what's happening with the government, etc. All of that is hardening you like a rock. And you don't see the expansion happening all around you. Every single living being can access that very expansion that we talk about because the nature of transmogrifying DNA is galactically happening. It is not just happening to your planet. It is not just happening to your star system. It is a galactic approach that is taking place here. The entire galaxy is widening herself. And everything that represents the cells, hence the stars, are receiving that signal to widen themselves appropriately based on their configurations. Some areas contract, some areas expand. Some areas contract, some areas expand. But it's all part of a greater genesis that's taking place throughout the entire galaxy. And your star system is just one out of countless stars that is receiving this transmogrification of DNA. It is a galactic phenomenon. So therefore, what you're experiencing primarily in the nature of DNA transmutation, this is exactly why you're feeling like every particular day that you encounter feels like it's speeding up more and more. Feels like you get up in the morning, you do a little bit of stuff, and then you have to go back to bed again. Well, this is what we're talking about the idea pertaining to the universal event, because that's what's taking place. The idea of time, as you know it, is starting to constrict. It's starting to condense itself. As it condenses, the effect of it is exactly what we've described. But as things start to condense, you also start to feel things expand. Through the idea of contraction also comes expansion in a different way. So that is what you're experiencing on your planet. You're feeling how you're all being much more interconnected with each other. But you need to get these toxins out of your system because these toxins are still trying to convince you that you're separate, that you're individuals, that you have no interconnectedness, that you're cut off. That's the talk of toxins. And any time that any of you feel that, where you feel disconnected, or you feel you can't connect with anybody, or you feel like you're quote-unquote disconnected from the source, that has nothing to do with the source cutting you off. That's the toxins in your body talking. That's the acidic content in your body. That's the mucus buildup in your body. That's the toxicity for your body being unable to function properly. Has nothing to do with what's going on out here. So therefore, as you go through these DNA transformations taking place, as we stated, there's an expansion going on. Yes, there's some contractions as well, but overall, it's an expansion. But if you sit here like a rock, you're not going to see it. If you follow the nature of this expansion, we are telling you that the ones that follow this expansion will have the access within themselves to know the universal cosmic library altogether. There's nothing you won't be able to know because you're going through a widening. Even though there is this funnel that's taking place, there is a widening within yourself happening at the same time. And if you follow the current to where life wants to take you, you get the reward. You'll be able to feel what everybody is thinking. You'll be able to feel what everybody is feeling. You'll be able to feel within yourself a lot more greater than you could. You'll be able to see exactly where you can point your mind and look at any particular planet and know what's going on there. You'll be able to look at your own star, look at your own sun, walk inside of it and know exactly what's going on and being able to understand its science if you go with the current. In order for you to go with the current, though, you need to detoxify yourself. You need to get out of this stone aspect of yourself, start breaking it apart and start loosening and start making yourself more fluidic. And as you make yourself more fluidic, you bend together where the expansion wishes to take you. And now the entire universe can be known by you if you follow the current, but very few of you do. But nonetheless, that's what's possible. But altogether, it is the nature of interconnectedness that is basically sharing with you, this is what you are. And that's what your DNA is trying to tell you wholeheartedly. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Firehorse. I'll just call you that if that's okay. Okay. Do we have one more donation? Just from Sima. Sima, let me see. Okay, here's one here. Sima, I'm going through a very stressful divorce. Will I be able to get my share in business? You know, Sima, this isn't something I can work with, right? when we're looking at that the reason being is because that's a very big topic, okay? And when it comes to divorce questions, and even with people who want inheritances and stuff like that, I would have to talk to you one-to-one, right? I can't talk to you like this because I need your response, right? And I want to do it face-to-face. So when you're talking about if you're going through a very stressful divorce, will you be able to get your share in business, when in the house, and when will it happen? Those are a lot of questions. And guys, here's the thing. Please, with your donation-based questions, one question, okay? There's about 3 or 4 of them going on here. When will it happen? Is it taking too long? And do not have money? Like I said, that's something, Simon, we have to talk about in person. We got to do a one-to-one session, okay? Because I need to know more about the background of what you're going through. I want to know a little bit more about the struggles that you're going through. I want to know a little bit more about your partner. I want to know a little bit more about your house. I want to know more about the business that you're talking about. I want to know exactly what you have been doing in the last few months and what it's leading up to right now. That way I can look at all these things and we can go into a little bit more deeper, okay? But right now there's a barrage of questions here. And with all respect, can't be done with $4.99, okay? It needs to be done through a private session. So again, guys, please, when you're doing personal readings for me, one question, please keep it simple. If I was to do your interaction right now, if I was able to talk to you, at least a half hour, okay? So I'd like you to do that. What I can say is that if you decide to talk with me about it, we will find answers, okay? But we just can't do it in regards to this because there's too many questions and it's a big situation and I need a little bit more data from you. Okay, that's what I can share with that. But thank you anyways for your donation. Okay, let's go through some of the other questions here. We're on another 20 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna see if we got some other questions here. I'm just going up to the close to the top of the chat and then I'll work my way down slowly. So guys, please bear with me. I know you guys have a lot of questions. I'm just going to do what I can to try and answer them quickly. Some of these questions have been big, and I didn't mean for them to be big, but they catapult me into big topics. So I'm going to do what I can to try and keep this very, very quick for people, just so we can get to more questions. Hello, Brad and Adronis. Will the advanced souls be able to check up on the slow people secretly in the new earth? Again, your question is misconstrued by other details that are not factual. Okay? So that's the whole idea. The thing is, guys, when you ask a question, unfortunately, some of what you're putting in the question is based more on belief and innuendo and conjecture rather than the idea of what is fact. Okay? When you're looking at the advanced souls, being able to check up on the slow people, you have to understand that a lot of those slow people are actually advanced souls. Okay? A lot of people that come to this planet have a lot of experience under their belt. I know I've talked to a lot of them, okay? And a lot of those particular types of advanced souls have ended up as slow people, okay? So this is why I say that the question itself is not quite factual, okay? It's based on belief and innuendo and conjecture, okay? It's not about them checking up on people. That's another part of the question that is incorrect, okay? And the new earth, depending on what you consider to be the new earth, right? If that is something pertaining to another dimension where you think that we're just going to vanish here from one dimension and then just pop into a whole new higher dimension of consciousness, that is incorrect at the same time, okay? So this is why I say there's incorrections in your question. So to frame it very quickly, those who are here will find their own way in time, okay? And even if we call them avatars, even if we call them, as what Adronis has referred to them, sojourners rather than star seeds and all that. But basically, in that sense, we're all here to discover ourselves, right? You have no responsibility for this collective consciousness, and that's the very important thing you have to share. You have to realize that first, and I have to share that with you. You are not responsible for this collective consciousness at all. If you were, you would have a very, very different role than what you're doing here. This is a ground crew role, my friends. And what a ground crew role does is it really is a state of self-exploration. As you explore yourself, as you better yourself, as you advance yourself, then you become available for others. But if you are toxic, if you are wounded, if you are hurt, if you are beside yourself with anger, hatred, sadness, fear, you are not going to be an appropriate candidate to be of service to others because you're toxic, okay? You need to get that toxicity out of you. That's like a person that's just like gushing blood because they have so many lacerations on themselves and they're coming into a medical ward to try and offer assistance to other people who are sick when you're basically spilling blood over the floor because you're heavily wounded yourself. Does that work? No. What's going to happen? You're going to have these attendants wanting to come to you and trying to take care of you and help you. Lay down in bed. Let's take care of your wounds. But this is what a lot of people will do. I got to go and help people. That's what's happening, right? That's what's happening to not only your physical body, but your emotional body, your mental body, everything, right? Your subtle bodies are in disarray. You are in disarray. You don't bother to heal yourself. You don't bother to take care of yourself. You don't realize that you're the only one who you can change. And you think you need to go out there and help everybody. It's not to say you're shutting the door in people's faces, but you're learning to work with this. And even when people come to you, they're being reflections to help you see yourself so that you can go within and take care of yourself. As you start to heal those wounds, as you start to brighten your aura, as you're taking care of yourself, now you go out into the world and people come to you again. And now you're offering that assistance that you can. That's really the whole goal for every soul on this planet, my friend. Okay? It's not about an us versus them, or that I'm up here and they're down here, right? You're all on the same planet. You're all on the same battlefield, so to speak. You're all going through a lot of the same things, but we're approaching it differently. And you have to know your own formula to your own healing of self. And as that happens, then you go out into the world because you're fresh, because you're clean. And now you become the perfect example of someone who can assist on it. It's like I tell other people who do sessions with me. I said, let me show you an analogy here. You have a person that's right next to you on a track and field, and you got all these hurdles here. And that person has never done hurdles before, right? They have no idea how to jump over it, but they're with you in this. And it's good that you can have kind of like a comrade, but this really wouldn't be like a teacher because this person doesn't know how to jump over the hurdles. And now you have the other person that comes in and they're just leaping over these hurdles, and they're leaping over these hurdles again and again and again. And they look back at you and smile and they ask, are you okay? Did you have a question for me? Now, in that moment, do I turn to this person who has absolutely no experience with jumping over these hurdles, who keeps falling over their own hurdles? Or do I look at this person who is able to leap over these hurdles without any problem to get information from them to help me up? Who do I choose? Well, I'm obviously going to choose the hurdle jumper, aren't I? Well, that's exactly what I'm telling you guys. You need to be the hurdle jumpers. Okay? You're not the ones that are struggling and falling over the hurdles and thinking that you can help other people. Here, let me show you. And you trip over your own feet and you knock down a hurdle. Okay? This is what I'm attempting to get through. Please spend some time with yourself and get to know who you are. You think that it's all about all of these people, and it's not. It's about what you have to work with through yourself. And as you start cleaning yourself up, you will get to know people because people will reveal themselves to you so easily. You'll see through them. You'll know exactly what they're thinking before they even say anything. And that's the powerhouse. That's the person that's leaping over the hurdles. Take time to heal yourself before you decide to go and jump in the fray. I know there's a lot of hurt people on this planet, but you're one of them until you learn to clean yourself up. That's the message here. Yes, there's a lot of hurt people, but you're just going to join the fray because you're just as hurt as they are. And in order for you to make a difference, you need to clean up your hurt. You need to clean yourself out. Then you make a difference. And that's how it happens, right? This is what I had to realize as well, too. I started doing this. I wanted to help a lot of people, but I had my own shit I had to take care of. And I cleaned it out for years. And I reached to a particular point where I'm just walking or being online, and people just come up and they want to ask me questions. And now that I've jumped over those hurdles, I can guide them well, right? That's how it works. You got to be out of the wounded healer stage and become the clean healer. That's the key. Okay, moving on. Okay. This one here is from N. Aureus On. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Hey Brad, I've never been stung by a bee in my life. In the past 2 weeks, I got stung twice. I have a feeling this is a sign from the universe, but I cannot decode this. Well, the stinging in that sense is basically trying to get your attention. right? So if there's the idea of never being stung by a bee, if there's a stinging that's going on, it may also be pointing to areas of your body, right? It depends also where you're being stung. Are you being stung on the arm? Are you being stung on the chest? Are you being stung on the neck, right? This may also represent the idea of a pointing of somewhere in the body that you may need to look into, okay? So it may be representing the idea of looking into the body, seeing in regards to the state of its own health, okay? Whenever there's a bee sting, it's a way of nature trying to tell you, you might want to look into areas of the body. There may be something in there that you may need to look into to have healed, okay? So look into the condition of your body. That is often the sign of a bee sting, okay? It often comes through dream state and woken state as something, as a reminder to look into areas of the body to helping you with healing, okay? Thank you. Okay, let me go down here a little bit further. I'm just kind of going through the chat here quickly because we're almost out of time here. We've got about 10 minutes. I have a little bit more time today, so that's why I'm not ending it at 11:30. Okay. So Athena says, only a small part of our soul goes into our human body, from my understanding. So yes, Madam Blue, most of our soul is not in the human body. That's not really how it works, okay? The soul itself is not some finite capsule that represents the essence of itself, okay? So basically we could say that the more appropriate thing to look at pertaining to your body is like looking at it as a computer terminal that's connected to the internet, okay? It's a terminal that's linked to the soul, okay? It's not about trying to find essence within the soul, within your body, because you're not really going to find that. But you're a terminal, which means that in computer talk, we have a network, okay? And through that network, we may have like a wireless connection, or we may have a wired connection where you're plugging these computer systems directly into a network. And through that network, that represents the source or the abode of the soul, okay? So what you're looking at is a remote terminal, your body, that is hooked up directly to the source itself, the abode of the soul, okay? That's the whole idea. But the soul is really in control of this remote terminal, right? So everything pertaining to the nature of the soul, how you have a sensation, how you have a feeling, how you have an emotion, how the prana flows through the body, is all through the control of the soul. So the soul has a material presence within you, even though it is not the material presence itself. This is where I know I can get you a little bit confusing. But the soul has a material presence with the body, but that does not reside within the body. But its sensations are non-localized within the body. And your network, the terminal that you're connected to, that network, that again is the home, that is the abode of the soul itself. So it is not about partiality, it's not about 1% or 99%. Anybody that gives you that model, with all respect, doesn't know the soul at all, okay? There's even people in religious circles who think that we don't even have a soul, right? There's no soul, just a soulless thing. Dude, if there was no soul, you would not be alive right now, right? You would not be in this form at all. There is no such thing as a no soul, okay? Everything truly is soul, spirit, consciousness, right? Because that's how life operates. That's the network of life. There has to be that, okay? So when you're looking at the nature of a soul, the soul, again, is the pilot, okay? It's the pilot of this body, but it's operating this body through a network connection, through a remote perception, right? That's the nature of this terminal. That's the nature of this conduit. That's why Adronis always refers to me as the conduit, right? He's being a conduit. He's not bringing any of his energy overlaying together with myself and having my face change and becoming him, right? It doesn't work that way. He's networking. He's linking himself up. It's a remote connection, right? It's like looking at scalar. Scalar itself is longitudinal. It is non-localized. It is omnipresent. It's all around you, but you can't see it. You can't touch it, right? But nonetheless, it's there. This is the same nature with the idea of the soul, okay? It is linked up to you. This is an interface, a remote terminal that is connecting to the network of the source, which is the abode of the soul, okay? Has nothing to do with percentages or how much of the soul or how little of the soul is in you. It doesn't work that way. The soul itself does not incarnate, okay? It's remote terminals incarnate. So there you have it. I know that might be a little bit confusing. Maybe we'll get into that another time. But like I said, the soul itself, by its nature, never incarnates. Only its remote terminals. Okay? Let's go on further. Limes. Limes practically never have seeds in them. Limes have actually been found to be alkaline, right? And there are seeded limes. You can find seeded limes. But limes basically have alkaline content within them. So look it up. Like I said, you got to do your research on these things. Athena also says, is that why so many cats and dogs are allergic to chickens? Depends, right? Even cats and dogs, my friends, are hybrids. Okay? Domesticated animals on our planet are hybrid animals at the same time. Okay? So if you have a cat, if you have a dog, mice, cockroaches, rats, I'm not saying those are pets, but nonetheless, those are GMO. Those are hybrids at the same time. Okay? Guys, do you know who the biggest hybrid is on the planet? Us. We're the biggest hybrid on the planet because we have completely forgotten ourselves. Right? We originally have 12 strands of DNA and we're only operating on 2. Right? So the whole idea of us being the biggest of the hybrids is absolutely correct. Okay? Like I said, that could be a conversation for another time. Drug me with sugar. Well, that's what we're doing, right? It's sugar. It's dead glucose. It's starch, right? Because all starch really is glucose that's dead, right? We're just eating a bunch of dead food and thinking that dead food is going to give us any benefits, rather than looking at the herbs that have been placed here for man's goodness. We're basically beseeching ourselves with throwing chemicals at ourselves, right? We think chemicals are the better thing beyond herbs, right? And that's the stupidity of it all. We have to break out of that illusion. Athena says, well, this works with my theory of we are all addicted to drugs, whether we realize it or not. You're absolutely right. That's it. We are all addicted to drugs. I mean, maybe not all, but the majority of us are. The majority of us are addicted to drugs, and we've just been eating drug foods because, like I said, we're just eating a bunch of dead foods. So there you have it. Okay, let me just go down. How much time? We got a couple of minutes left here. Madam Blue says, I have an alkaline water filter system and beat stage 4 cancer, much to my doctor's amazement. Of course, a lot of doctors aren't educated. They're not really educated in the nature of alkaline, or the ones that are, or a rare breed, right? But no, they're very much, I mean, I've heard people who have gone to their doctors, and these doctors have recommended to them to drink Coca-Cola. They have gone to them and say, okay, I want you to go home and eat some Lipton's Campbell soup. That's GMO. I have the owner of this house is a dentist, and his entire fridge when he first moved in was filled with Coca-Cola. I had to empty it all out. I was like, get that crap out of here. So like I said, there's a lot of doctors that are in the dark, and they do not realize that alkaline is actually what repairs the body. Because like I said, my friends, they are attached to this germ theory, that there's evil germs outside here, and that they're going to come inside, and they're going to wreak havoc. They believe that germs are the cause of all diseases. They believe that bacteria, viruses, and fungus are the culprits and the causes to all diseases, and that's wrong. A disease by itself cannot be the cause to what you're going through pertaining to toxicity. It has to be acid. It has to be mucus. Mucus, again, is the effect of what the body is trying to do to take care of that acid, and has to put layers and layers and layers of mucus all over an affected area that is covered in acidity. And when that happens, it blocks up the oxygen. The oxygen cannot get into the body, hence the prana cannot get in the body. This is why we often say that you're blocked, right? You're blocked because you got a lot of mucus contained in that area where oxygen, as the carrier for prana, can't get through. That wall of mucus basically thins out oxygen, and again, the carrier of prana can't go through there. So what do? We have to get rid of the mucus. And you get rid of the mucus and you get rid of the acid by going alkaline. That's the key to it, right? Heather here had a $10 question. Hello, Brad. Could you please check my cat's teeth? She had a tooth fall out. I'm taking her to the vet next week. I can't do that, Heather. I don't have a picture of your cat. I need to know a little bit more about your cat's name and all that, okay? So Heather, what I would suggest, please, is contact me by email, okay? Drop me an email. Go to bradjohnson79@gmail.com or go to wisdomtransmissions.com. Contact me there and maybe send me a picture of your cat, and I can help you out with that. But again, if I don't have a picture of your cat, I'm not even going to tune in. I don't even know your cat's name. So I need these things to lock onto. So if we have that, then I can look into that a little bit more, okay? Let's see here. I'm just going to the bottom of the list right now to see if there's any last questions. This one here is from Samurai Shampoo Music. That's an interesting combination. Hey Brad, do you feel you are divinely guided and protected in sharing suppressed information that elites that don't want spread? I would say that that's what I feel in theory, right? You can never prove these things, but there's been times too in the past, fortunately this broadcast is held out okay, but there have been many times in the past, especially during the COVID era, where I was trying to get a lot of information and hand it over to people. But my stream would go down. I would get interference constantly. I would get problems, even problems with the microphones are no coincidence as well too. So I feel like in theory that has happened to me quite a lot. I can never 100% prove these things, but it's just a feeling that I have in the back of the mind, because I know that my broadcast is something that is watched by many, because I've had a couple of these so-called people, even in the past, going back years, contact me, even tell me, you better be careful of what you're putting up online, right? So I've had that in the past as well. So I know I'm being watched. I know I'm being watched by Canadian authorities and maybe American authorities and so forth. But that's okay. I mean, tune in, guys. Even though I'm sharing a lot of stuff with you, it's not really debilitating in that sense that's bringing down any systems or anything of that nature. If I was doing something like that, I probably wouldn't even have my YouTube channel anymore. I basically do it in the gray, right? I'm not stepping off into the edge here, but I'm still bringing something in that's important to know. But yes, I've had a lot of interruptions in the past, specifically around the COVID era. There's a lot of my old webcasts that were being cut out constantly when I was having these conversations. And then when I'm not having these conversations, the webcast is completely fine. But as soon as I do, oh, interference. So that happened a lot, yes. So there you go. All right, my friends, we are out of time for today. Thank you all for your questions. You had great questions. I really appreciate that. So again, I'm going to have another video this Sunday talking about the next Radiate, okay, Radiate Amrita. This weekend is also the debut of the Anoint Array website that's taken the place of Etherics. Okay, on the Anoint Array website, you'll have some of the old Etherics products that will still be available. And I've also built a brand new seal array generator on there as well too, that is laced with source vibration, that is laced with scalar, that is laced with transcendental frequencies that you can use. You purchase it, you print it out, and you start using it. You can put it on your bed, and it can do some healing work on you while you sleep. So that is going to be called the Seal Array Generator. That is also available on Anoint Array. So I'm looking to get Anoint Array finished here by Saturday or Sunday. Once it's up, I'll be sending out announcements, probably by YouTube post, newsletters, and so forth. But this Sunday, I'll be making a video for Radiate Amrita. That is going to be the next one, and it is going to be a GoFundMe campaign. So just as we did the one last year with the first version, we're doing it again with an even better version. So, and you'll be able to order lifetime memberships for it as well too. So it's going to be really exciting, a lot of great features in it. So stay tuned for that coming this Sunday. Thank you, everybody. Blessings to you all. See you all next week. Namaskar. May it be well with you. Take care. Bye for now.